Indian Railways has been facing a fall in freight traffic for a few years. COVID further dragged down, making the situation worse. In 2017, for the first time, the railways not only missed their freight carrying target but the total tonnage carried went down. The railways hope for a turnaround pivots on a key factor: the dedicated freight corridors. The dedicated freight corridor is the corridor dedicated to carry rail freights at a speed of 100 km/h through two corridors. Under the 11th Five-Year Plan of India, 2007-12, the Ministry of Railways started constructing a new DFC in two long routes, namely the Eastern and Western Freight Corridors. The Western Corridor is financed by JICA, while the Eastern Corridor is financed by the World Bank and Public-Private Partnership. The Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited oversees the construction of this project. The two routes cover a total length of 3,260 kilometers, with the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor stretching from Haryana to Dankuni. The Western Dedicated Freight Corridor stretches from Jawaharlal Nehru Port to Dadra. The Indian Railways carries the fourth highest tonnage of freight globally, at over 1,200 million tons. However, in the absence of dedicated lines, freight trains in India operate on the same railway lines as passenger trains. The movements of passenger trains are prioritized over freight trains. The movement of goods in the country would be much faster with dedicated freight corridors. Industry experts are of the view that the DFCs will allow the cargo carried by 1 lakh trucks in a single day, once they are fully functional. The upcoming DFCs will substantially reduce the cost of logistics in India, which currently stands at 13% to 15% of the cost of the goods. Accelerating the project, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the 351-kilometer Khurja-Bhopur section of the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor in December 2020. Whereas the 306-kilometer Rewai-Madar section of the Western Dedicated Freight Corridor in January 2021. E-commerce companies like Amazon and Flipkart will be able to transfer freight through railways once the Dedicated Freight Corridor project is complete. Apart from e-commerce, the Freight Corridor project will also open up doors for the automobile sector. The project will triple the movement of goods and double the railway's freight capacity. It will double the length of the trains being used currently to up to 1,300 meters, from the current 700 meters. Since these freight corridors will be exclusively meant for goods trains, they will have one station every 50 kilometers as compared to the existing railways, which has one every 10 kilometers. This would mean that the cost of manpower, maintenance and operation for the DFC will be much lower. DFCC has so far commissioned 1,010 kilometers of the proposed 2,843 kilometers, pertaining to stretches undertaken by the government for both the corridors. A 538-kilometer stretch between Soninagar in Bihar and Dankuni in West Bengal is being developed under PPP mode. The completion deadline for the projects is now being extended by 2 years over pandemic-induced challenges and land acquisition delays. The Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India has sent its revised completion estimates to the Ministry of Railways. It sought time till 2023 to complete the Eastern DFC and 2024 for the Western DFC. The DFC project is being closely monitored and is expected to be a game changer in freight movement.